Create that life legacy, designers. Amber Prosia here. Welcome to episode 9 of the Parenting Biz Podcast, coming to you every single Monday. Now let's chat with this week's featured guests, Penelope and Sean Beveridge. Sean and Penelope, are you two ready to enlighten us on your journey of how you two compose the life you've always wanted for yourself and your family?
Hi, Amber. Yes. Hi, everybody out there.
Hi, Amber. Absolutely. Really excited, and thank you for having us.
You're most welcome. Thanks so much for being on the show, you two. Sean and Penelope are neurolinguistic practitioners, natural food chefs, speakers, vegan ninjas, and recharge specialists. What's a recharge specialist, you ask? A recharge specialist informs and supports you to achieve health-focused goals and behavior adjustments. It's a process that facilitates active, sustainable behavior change by challenging you to develop your inner wisdom, identify your values, transform your goals into actions, and gives you a supportive mentor who motivates positive health and mindset choices. They empower busy, high performers experiencing overwhelm, stress, loss of drive, and anxiety to get back into balance, find their passion and joy through their recharge programs. Sean and Penelope, please take a minute and fill in any gaps from that intro and give us a little glimpse of your own personal life.
You can go first, Sean.
I think I've officially been thrown under the bus.
That's okay. It happens, Sean.
Yeah, so look, our background, it's been an interesting journey because bit by bit, we've been filling in the gaps of things that we've been eagerly researching to try and better our own health. And along the way, you mentioned the first thing off the rack was the NLP, and the mind was a huge thing for us. I started out particularly in the food space, and recognising that eating a nutritious and healthy, wholesome diet, it did amazing things for myself. I lost 40 kilograms. Went off my meds. Basically, all my problems went, and my whole life I was diagnosed by doctors that it was in my genes, that there was nothing you could do, just get over it, and basically pop a pill here and there and get over it. They're all gone now. I feel fantastic. I feel more energetic. I feel like I'm fitter and stronger than I was when I was probably in my 20s. So it started there, learning about nutrition, then learning about the mind. And more recently, we've got into other modalities, and in particular learning about energy healing and things like that. So it's been an awesome journey, and we're excited that we now have the tools and experience to be able to help others break through and get over their challenges and feel better and live an optimal and abundant life.
Yeah, which is, and my journey was for 20 years that I did work as a creative. Was a professional advertising photographer. I was also a creative director. I judged. I had a pretty exciting life, but I also had a very busy, full life, full of schedules. I was a single mum for many years of my life, so I had to juggle and balance my life with, I was studying. I was at uni doing my master's in design science. I had to run home. I had to cook. And when you're living like that, you tend to start, skipping and doing all the wrong things. And I eventually, I lived as a vegan for many years, but I wouldn't say that I was a healthy vegan. I was giving my child a lot of health. I was always, giving him good foods, and then I was leaving like leftovers. And also being a woman, I was always, and working with, beautiful models, I was always very conscious of staying slim and trim and looking my best, because that's the nature of the industry. So I tended to skip meals. Basically, I did a lot of things that eventually, when I had a severe stress in my life, which is when my mother passed away, my whole life crumbled and I ended up being bedridden. I was very sick with an autoimmune disease. I had inflammation. I went from doctor to doctor. I just could not feel, I thought this was the end. One doctor said, if you keep going the way you're going, you're not going to live much longer. Now, I was given antibiotic after antibiotic. So what I found with modern medicine, that I was getting treated for the symptoms, but no one was really addressing the source. And I don't blame anybody, because I understand that in the with modern medicine, there's not a lot of education in nutrition. When I started to do a lot of research, and so out of the adversity, it sent me off on this new path, new passion, and I found so much information, and I was so shocked that what I was doing here, I was thinking I was relatively healthy because I was a vegan, not eating meat. But I realised that the amount of fresh fruit and veggies that I was actually intaking was pretty minimal. And when I went and researched my cupboards, my pantry, and did an audit of what I was actually eating and looking at the labels, I was stunned that I was eating cardboard. I was not getting any of my macronutrients and micronutrients.
You would have got more nutrients out of cardboard.
I probably would have. So I've trained with Dr. Pam Popper, who is a brilliant woman as far as she's been my mentor. Forks Over Knives changed my life. The China study, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, Esselstyn, Michael Greger, all of these people have had a huge impact on my life and Sean's life. And that's when we decided to embark on helping others, because we've watched our own families dying of chronic diseases, as young as 42 dying of cancer. My own father is end of life now from chronic disease, and these are preventable. We don't need to go down this path. So this is where we've decided to, it'll be a lifelong passion, and it's constant learning because it's such a new science too.
Absolutely. And even with that, and we'll dive in really quickly to that too, but even with it, that it's actually changing as well, right? New things are coming up and products are getting more sophisticated of how they can work around so that they can say that they might be, a low in fat, for example, when really there's still fat in there, right? They're just getting around the labeling too. So it's keeping up to date with that as well. Thank you so much, guys. It's amazing to have you guys on the show. I can't wait to dive in. So I'm just going to go through something really quick because, as you guys are aware, our listeners are parents or parents-to-be that realize ownership is key to not only our parenting or business, but in life in general. And along that parenting journey, we can lose sight of that. So if we focus on life as a game or an activity or a sport, not only can we learn to let go easier, but we can also gain strength from our mistakes and design our core focus to be one of laughter, joy, and most importantly, having fun, just like a 5-year-old kid in the sandbox. So this week, our entire interview will be composed around the magical Central Coast Symphony Orchestra. So welcome to our performance called the Symphony of Fruits and Veggies. So now we're all aware that this is just an analogy and we can create and design our lives any way we want. Penelope and Sean, this is your chosen activity. So let's go through your daily performance and how you make it work with your life and expertise. So I've broken it down into different aspects of composing. And one of the things is that we know it is possible for large orchestras to perform without conductors, but most choose to have one. And so what it is exactly do they do? So whether visibly or invisibly, consciously or unconsciously, here are some of the myriad things that they get on to do on the podium. So let's start with conducting, because I think that's where it's really crucial, where we bring in we're the conductors of our own lives and organizing our desired choices and helping others along the way, which is exactly what you guys are doing, right? You're conducting your own life and you're creating all these great food recipes and meals, but you're also helping other people along the way and educating them. What was the turning point in your business career that led you down this healthy pathway? I know you guys mentioned little points, but what was that really big steer where you said, no, this is the line in the sand, this is where I'm going?
Yeah, so I think I'll start with that, Amber.
Sure.
We came to the point, I think every one of us, we come to a crossroads in our life where there's that aha moment of, oh my God, I've been doing something not in my best interest, not for my better purpose, particularly around health. And I think those were the types of things, and they happen all the time, and they will continue to happen. That's the exciting thing, is that it's a dynamic world. We're going to come across something in the future where we're going to think, oh my God, I didn't realise. And being a conductor, coming across and trying to place and let's play our symphony, is that at the end goal is we want to play this beautiful piece of music, and if everything's not in line, we're not going to get that beautiful magical moment. We're going to have bits and pieces where we might have a note here and there that sounds good, but we need to bring it together. And I think being a conductor of our life, we need to unify basically everything that's going on in our lives, and whatever aspect it may be, and we'll probably talk a little bit about later, but I mean, obviously, exercise as an example is very important. Your mind and how you come up with the willpower of being able to successfully achieve and do things, and keep on the straight and narrow, down to what you put in your mouth. And I love your analogy of the orchestra of vegetables and fruit, because it all ties into it. So as a conductor, we want to set the tempo. We want to shape the sounds, and we want to put that ensemble all together so we can actually work towards playing that beautiful, masterful piece of music.
Absolutely. That was beautifully said. And did you guys have a coach along the way, or did you just use support from other communities? I know you mentioned a few, Penelope, where you said like Forks and Knives, so documentaries, for example. But did you guys hop on forums or get associated with groups to help you succeed in this health abundant lifestyle of your own, or you just took the initiative yourself and just dove in?
Well, what happened for me is life changed for me when I saw the movie Forks Over Knives, and then that was an aha moment for me. I decided to read the book, The China Study, and when I read the book, The China Study, and this is by T. Colin Campbell, and he was showing that casein, the protein in milk, how it was switching, when he was using it in a study with rats, it was switching cancer cells on. And that was really sent a light bulb. And I was so intrigued by this information. And of course, he is a promoter of whole foods, plant-based. And I then, from that, we went and studied. We studied with Ruby, which is also, they teach whole food, plant-based cooking. And we've done a lot of studies. So we have invested a lot of money and time. But that doesn't mean that, it ignited that we wanted to help others. So we wanted to become coaches, and we wanted to become experts. So we've looked and read, we've just immersed ourselves in this study. What I would say for the average person, if they're not that inclined to make it their whole life, is to become involved with those like-minded people. If they're trying to become healthy, it's not going to be successful if you're not around, or you haven't got the support of others. So I would suggest to join forums and Facebook groups and get involved, go to seminars and workshops where you can become inspired, because with our day-to-day life, as I said for myself, I was a person that was very keen on nutrition from a very young age. So it was always there. But when I got caught up in my busy life, it just stopped, because I was too tired, because our hormones take over, our psyche takes over, our mindset takes over. And when we're tired, these things, our ghrelin, which is a hormone that regulates whether we're satiated after our food, after we've eaten, it stops working. It keeps thinking you're hungry. So these are the things that I'm trying to, or I am helping others to realize how our health can be improved, and how we can be working with others, and particularly if you've got a family and children. It's really important that you do find out and become aware and find out the correct choices that will benefit you and your family.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned all of that too, because I'd love to know, do you guys actually do cooking workshops as well to help? Like for myself, I don't cook. Okay. I'm learning. I have to change that word. So not to say I don't cook. I'm learning how to cook because obviously I'm about to be a mom to be and I need to step up my game. So that I will put my hand up there. Okay. I'm thankful for Mick because he's amazing. All right. But with that, do you actually help moms to be or moms that just, want to learn new cooking, or even if they already, they do a certain amount of vegan recipes now, but do they, they could up their game as well. Do you guys help out with that?
Yes, we do. It's really important to fall in love with cooking and realize the benefits that you're actually doing for you and your family. Whether it can be a two-way partnership. It doesn't have to be female, or it can be, the husband or the partner. Or what is really beautiful if you both do it together. And mindful cooking is really important. So think and you look at that food and you realize it's nearly like a meditation. If you can really get yourself, that's what we actually teach is mindful cooking. We get people to actually meditate, let go of the world, the busyness that they've been through for the day, let go of all of that, and then really feel the joy and really realize the benefits that what you're doing is that you're passing on your love to the people that you love through your cooking, and that will actually change the water molecules, because Dr. Emoti, he was a doctor in Japan that actually showed water molecules, and that even thinking, the Buddhist monks sat around a lake and they thought loving thoughts, and when they tested the water molecules had beautiful formed crystals. When they did the opposite, not with the Buddhist monks, but when they put rock music next to the water was all changed. Mm-hmm. So, if you've got loving thoughts while you're cooking, and we are 80% water, and so is your the food that you're about to eat. It's moisture. That's going to go into your cooking. And if you think that way, it changes how you really feel about preparing meals.
It's fascinating. As a matter of fact, some of the statistics we've looked at, particularly, I guess the audience that we're talking to here, we're all busy parents and we're trying to cram in so many things in a day, and we're confronted with that day in, day out. How do we prepare meals for our family? And I think we can all confess, and we've all been through that moment where we've just thrown something together, and perhaps we've had a bit of an upset day. We might be cooking with an angry mind. Now that's going into the food which is being delivered to your family and your loved ones. So it's really important that we do embrace what we're doing in a loved way. Fortunately, I love cooking. We love food. We love, we're very passionate about what we do. So it's taken us a little bit of a, I guess, a journey for us to actually figure out how we can help other people do it. And I think living in this busy, chaotic world, that's something that we really want to be able to offer and guide and help people with. So, how do we do it easily? How do we do it quickly? So, you mentioned that cooking and things like that. So we would love people to join our self-care revolution at Global Recharge. And we can give you lots of hints and tips, and we've got programs designed to help people get through that.
That's amazing. And I have to admit, guys, because even for myself, it was honestly, since I've been pregnant, I had to take a step back and look in the mirror and say, no, I need to put this, and like you said, be mindful on your cooking. And it was actually making an environment, more enjoyable for me to actually get in the kitchen to prep and do the actual work. And so it was putting on music, and it was just, and so now I'm getting there, it's getting better. But yeah, definitely, I'll be looking into your programs as well, because obviously when the baby comes, I want to be able to cook baby food for them, or do meal prep, or have things available or in the fridge so that we can actually teach them at a young age, because I really do think it does come and starts from the household of how we get out about that, which leads us into the next section, which is called leadership. Okay, so as a conductor, you actually have a lot of elements of leadership as well. And a leader has to understand how to adapt their style to bring a group of different people into a single voice. So watching the orchestra and analyzing the role of the conductor are ways of seeing leadership from a different perspective. And there are many parallels between orchestras and corporations. Typically, an orchestra is divided into 4 sections. So we have your woodwinds, your brass strings, and percussion. Each section has its lead player, so a first violinist or a first clarinet, etc. This is the orchestra's executive team. How do you find that being a recharge specialist, that you can lead other people and adapt and find their lead players as well in your programs?
I'll speak. What is really important is that we have to look at each person as their bio-individuality. So it takes into account from their lifestyle, their diet, activities, their relationships. This is all going to have an impact on the person, the type of work they're doing. There's so many areas that what I call the circle of life. So I actually get people to sit down and do a circle of life, and then we can look at the areas that are really need adjusting, modification, or a complete change. So, and that has an impact on every part of your life. So let's say that you're a person that you're extremely busy, unorganized. That will have an impact on the food that you're eating, believe it or not, because again, as I said before, the fuel, the mind, the body, and the spirit, that is all, they all go together. You have to have a holistic approach, and that's what we're not reductionists. Reductionists mean that we just look at symptoms. So, somebody comes in and they've got a sore foot. Well, obviously the symptom is the sore foot, but if you really look at the person, it could be from, something that's completely different. The actual pain at the time is coming from the sore foot, but it may be coming from somewhere else. So this is where alternative modern treatments now are going. And I feel that even modern medicine will go this way, is going through a holistic approach. At the moment, modern medicine is a reductionist approach. So as a coach, that's the first thing I look at, is the person as a whole, and look at how that we can balance and get their lifestyle into an area, and that they will feel optimal health and fulfilled and joyful and creative and productive, and get their passion in life.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Penelope. Sean, do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I think, as Penelope mentioned, everyone's a bio-individual, so we're all different. And I guess, trying to lead an orchestra, as you mentioned, in the 4 different areas, is that, everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. So leading an orchestra, I think, is identifying, what the key passions or strengths that they have for that particular role. So we want to make that masterpiece, that music, i.e. we want optimal health. So, working towards with, those individual groups, finding the strengths, passion, and bringing it all together.
Yeah, and that's beautiful, because, that will just ricochet and radiate out into our business life, into our family life, into our own well-being, and every other area, so that's phenomenal. Let's go into the area of importance of listening. So as a recharge specialist and an ex-burnt-out entrepreneur, how did you stay connected and listen to your body without having those, let's say, 2 p.m. slums where all you want is a chocolate bar?
Yes, I used to experience that a lot, around 3 p.m. actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, what's the first thing a lot of people, particularly women, if they don't want to go for the chocolate bar, they'll go for a cup of coffee. And that's what I was doing. I was having a lot of caffeine, and then eventually my body rejected it. And I was getting anxiety attacks from it, and also like a form of panic attack, which was very uncomfortable. So I was getting warnings. The other thing that I used to do a lot when I was younger is drink a lot of Diet Coke. And that is one of the worst things that you can drink. And again, it was around that 3 p.m. So if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, this is what I found. I was skipping meals. I was skipping my breakfast. I was lucky to have lunch because I was working. And sometimes I was working in areas without food. Sometimes the advertising job would have a fantastic catering company would come in and they'd have all these temptations and they'd be it would be in abundance. And they also made sure that they supplied plenty of vegan junk food as well. So around that 3 o'clock, I was, I had this insatiable appetite. So you tend to gorge. And if you're eating, healthy carbs, and healthy carbs are your vegetables, because a lot of people associate carbohydrates. They think of bread, chocolate, etc. If you're eating healthy carbs, that gives the feeling of fullness. A good night's sleep is very important, and new mums have problems with that, and that's why a lot of mums complain that they are putting on a lot of weight. And then that is because, as I said before, the ghrelin hormone actually doesn't know the difference between being tired and being hungry or being dehydrated. And a lot of people today are just not drinking enough water. And I would suggest that people make sure that they drink at least 2 waters per day, and filtered water is preferable, because the brain needs hydrating. And if by 3 o'clock you're going to have foggy brain if you haven't drank enough water. So that's an indication that there's dehydration. And also, if you didn't sleep the night before, you will be starving by the afternoon and you'll be wanting a lot of food. And this is why some people who have gone all day without food, by the time they get home, they're just so hungry. They just want to grab a quick takeaway, anything, just to fill themselves up, because that's the body's, by then you're into the sympathetic nervous system, and that's just for survival. That's your reptilian brain. That's just saying, go get some food, fill yourself up. It doesn't care whether it's healthy. They just want high caloric, dense food. What's the highest? It's the junk food. And that's what we tend to go for. So chocky will be more appetizing and more appealing than, say, an apple, because the brain is saying, oh, I'm starving, I need food. And that's where our caveman brain and our modern life just is incompatible. Yeah. So my suggestion is have healthy carbs during the day, and have your breakfast and your lunch, and drink lots of water and lots of sleep. That will help prevent the 2 o'clock syndrome of the munchies.
Yeah, definitely. And what about after burning both ends of the stick? What was your biggest lesson learned for either of you guys?
My biggest lesson I learned is that I was skipping meals and thought that I would lose weight. When I started to eat healthy carbohydrates, that's 5. I have at least 5 to 8 cups of vegetables per day, cooked and raw, and I realised that it was as far as the weight goes and the vibrancy and feeling fantastic, I started to feel very well when I changed my diet after 2 years of being sick, after 2 years of being bedridden and full of colds that would last for 3 months, where I literally felt that I was never going to get well. Within 2 weeks, I started to feel fantastic. That's how quickly your body wants to heal. The body is not made to destroy us. Our body is made to heal us. It's an incredible structure, that it is there to heal us from the time. A lot of people say, as soon as you're born, the body's decaying and dying. Well, that's just not true. Your body is permanently healing, regenerating. It is an incredible organ.
It really is. And Sean, for yourself, well, how do you feel that those choices have impacted your day-to-day now?
Incredibly so. And as Penelope said, it's our body's a healing machine, and it's those signals that in my case, I guess it was like a hammer hitting my head, but it just didn't make sense to me. And that we're caught in this paradigm where, things, particularly with men, if you have a symptom or a problem in your life, you're just told to get over it and move on, and that's normal, and you accept that this is what everyone puts up with. And I guess those signals, for me, it was the inflammation in the feet and really tight and sore. I had terrible GERD, so reflex and indigestion problems and all sorts of things. And I became overweight too. But and the fogginess, for me, now I look back on it and the choices or the changes I've made, because I actually recognise that, hang on, that isn't right, and they're gone. And it's kind of funny because the body, being the healing machine it is, it's acutely tuned to be able to pick up on those signals and fix them. That's what it's there for. However, we're just taught, and it took me, far too long in my life to be able to recognise that the body's saying, Sean, hey, something's not right, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Something's not right. Hey, boy. And I would just ignore it, and I would just put up with abusing my body basically with food and all the other abundant things that we have in our life. So it's not till after I have recognised the choices and the changes I've made, how finely tuned we are now to be able to listen to. And the thing is, it's a lifestyle. The word diet comes up, and I guess that's one part of the puzzle. But a diet's only it's a transient thing. It's a short-term fix. Lifestyle is what we all want to try and achieve, and understand how to listen to those signals. When those signals become present, we make the right choice and we change it. We action it, and then we recognise, wow, I feel so wonderful. I feel alive again. And that's because the body's healed it, and you're able to move on and get on it. So those are the choices and changes I made, and I'm all better for it.
I love that, Sean. Thank you so much, both of you guys, for sharing that. Let's go into the next section for putting in the hours. So just like an orchestra, they have to put in time to practice, rehearse over and over and over again. And you guys have already mentioned about the time that you guys have put in, and the longevity and the strength to become your ultimate best, which is completely understandable. However, for newbies to healthier cooking and whole food or mindful cooking, where would you recommend them starting out?
Okay, so for me, we're bombarded with what we call infobesity. There's so much information out there. Fortunately, in particularly with all the excitement around the culinary world, we've got all these wonderful TV shows, and the chefs these days are now celebrities. It's a really, really awesome inspiration to be able to say, yeah, I want to be able to do that. The challenges are, I guess, for me, is filtering out what is actually good for us, what's good for our families and things like that. So I always sort of take the line with good meal preparation thing is understanding the basics. So it's exciting to be able to see something and go, wow, I'm going to cook that. And we might Google a recipe and find something that we like. There's massive amounts of those out there at the moment. I think it's reading between the lines and understanding at the core level of perhaps the basic nutrition as a starting point. I think that's the key foundation, because we can easily get caught up in our taste buds. We can easily get caught up in buying essentially ingredients that are perhaps already processed, already refined, and we're throwing all that in there without being mindful about what it is that we actually are putting in our mouth. So that's probably my input there, is the core foundation of understanding what we are putting in those meals and what we're putting and providing to our family.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to ask a question, and then hopefully either one of you guys can answer this, because obviously sometimes our listeners, we're also used, and this again is society, is providing us a food guide, right? You know, our basic 5 groups and everything else. Now, I completely, if you guys haven't watched the documentary, What the Health, it is amazing. I would highly recommend it. I know Sean and Penelope are pro advocates of the documentary as well, but it was a huge eye-opener for myself. That was one of my aha moments. But with that, it talks about how within our food guide that it is corrupt. You know, it's by bigger organizations that actually create the food guide that are telling you to eat this food, which then is just bringing in more money for, you know, the manufacturers and the corporations, and everyone's winning that way government-wise. But for our own individual health, we're actually not. So I was wondering, is there anything that you guys rely on for yourselves of when you prepare a meal, of these are the areas and these are the groups that you guys would recommend for someone to start out with?
You've gotten into some beautiful, juicy stuff we love talking about.
Yeah, you're talking about
diet?
the SAD diet, which is standard American, and we also say standard Australian diet. We've got something like $155 billion is paid to healthcare each year, and it's just in Australia. This is not America, so you can double that for America. And 59 billion in hospitals. 70% to 80% of deaths are from chronic disease, which can be reversible. Majority of them. So, you know, when we're looking at the paradigm that we're living in, and people are taught that, you know, these certain food groups are healthy for us and programming children from a very young age, it's frightening. It is frightening. And we do get a lot of misinformation because a lot of the research is being funded by the very company that is selling the food. So you've got somebody that's got a white coat on saying that this is really good for you. And it's been written in, you know, some magazine that people feel that it's a reliable source. It can be very confusing for people. So what we say is that the best thing for anyone to do is avoid the SOS. And the SOS is excessive salt, excessive oil, and refined sugar. So they're the things that are what we consider the bad guys. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy about the oil, but we can get lots of good, healthy oils. We don't need to have refined oils, and all of these things are refined. Sea salt is extremely good for you, but again, not excessive. And if you have a rainbow, think of the rainbow, which is the symphony. That's what we're talking about here. It's the orchestra, a rainbow of coloured fruits and veggies in our diet daily, at least a minimum of 5 to 8 cups per day, cooked or raw. And then because all of our veggies contain protein, and this is the area that people get very confused with because they've been taught from a very young age the only place that you can get calcium is from milk, and the only place you can get protein from is meat. That is incorrect, because the strongest animals on this earth are all herbivores. You've got your gorillas, you've got your elephants, and they're certainly not wasted away because they're not eating meat. If you are a meat eater, you should be only eating meat that is grain fed. We don't want to be putting extra antibiotics that you will be consuming if the animals have been fed grains that have been come from genetically engineered, like with glyphosates, that is going into that system, a horrendous life where they don't even see the light of day, most of these animals, including the chickens with the eggs. So the actual quality of the meat, if you're going to be eating and consuming factory farms animals, is very unhealthy. Also, saturated fats will make the body acidic, and this is the beautiful thing about fruits and vegetables. They're alkaline. And alkaline will stop inflammation in the body. It also promotes a healthy gut. With a healthy gut, we also have, which is what we call our second brain. And many of the doctors are now saying it's our first brain, because this is where all our happy hormones are being produced too. We also, animal products do not have fiber. It's very important to have fiber. Fiber will get rid of a lot of the toxins. And if you sit in an average house today, we are surrounded by toxins on a daily basis. So, from the plastics we touch, from the plastics in the food, the BPAs, we've got mercury. If people are older than the age of 40, they've probably got mercury fillings, amalgams in their teeth. So we need to have lots of fiber to sustain and stop these chronic diseases. So if you're having every colour of the rainbow in your fruit and veggies, greens are wonderful for the heart. If anybody understands the chakras, all the colours of the chakras of the rainbows, and nature provided, and the universe has provided us with our own medicine. Our food is our medicine. All those beautiful veggies and every colour will help, and it helps in a holistic way. We've got to stop thinking about, I'll eat this, sesame seeds because it's high in magnesium and it's good for me. Yes, if you've got a cramping problem, yes, it's good for you. Just eat the rainbows. You don't even have to think about it. If you've got lots of different colours every day on your plate, and the majority of your plate is vegetables, you're on the good track. You can also then put the starchy foods in, like rice and potatoes. Now, what they've discovered, a lot of people have gone, that's not good for my gut. What they've discovered is that if you leave rice and potatoes, cook it, leave it, let it cool off, and then reheat it, it forms actually something called a resistant starch. And resistant starch has been shown to stop inflammation, it stops cancer cells forming, and it actually stops insulin resistant. It is also 50% lower in glucose than if you had it when it was hot. So by cooling the starchy vegetables and cooling the starches and then reheating it, you're actually producing what they call is butyrate, which is extremely good for the gut health, and it's a prebiotic, and which is to help the healthy flora of the probiotics. That's what they eat, is the prebiotics. So if you're doing things like that, you're going to be on the road of optimal health.
Wow, thank you so much, Penelope. That was amazing. And just quickly, for reheating, are you actually reheating in the stove, or are you using a microwave?
No. Microwaves, I'll just give you a little example of microwaves. Research was done by several studies, and they had 3 plants. One plant was watered with the water straight from the tap. The other plant was watered with water that was boiled and then cooled, and then they watered that plant. The other plant was watered with the water that was heated in the microwave and then cooled and watered. And all of these plants, same conditions, were after 1 week, the plant that was watered with the microwave water died. There was no nutrients because of the way the water changed, even though it looked like water. So even though you put your food in there, heat your food up, put your coffee in, reheat your coffee, the nutrients are gone. So throw away your microwave. Get a convection oven. Get a steamer. Steamers are fantastic. We actually had some rice last night with our leftover brown rice. We eat brown rice because it's got fibre. It's not been refined. So we were able to, and we batch cook. We teach people to batch cook. Make up a big pot of brown rice. Put it. You can freeze it, or you can have some ready for the next day. And if you've got some veggies, you can put those together, and all you have to do is steam them and bring them back to a good heat.
Amazing. Thank you so much. You guys have definitely, I've took so many notes, and definitely things that I know that I'll be changing in my diet or lifestyle, as you say, Sean, because I completely agree with that as well. Is there anything else you guys would like to add before we wrap up today's performance?
Yeah, I think that the most important message that we can bring is, do you want to thrive or do you want to wither? And I think that the majority of people out there would say we want to thrive. We want our families to thrive. We want to feel great. We want to feel happy. How do we feel happy? How do we feel great? The fuel is really, really important. And if you're not eating the correct fuel, you're not going to be making the serotonin, which is part of your happy hormone, your dopamine, etc. I would say if you're eating poorly, and you know if you're eating poorly, most people know that if you eat fruit and veggies, it's good for you. A lot of people take the easy way out because they're tired. It's a very busy world. And my suggestion is to slow down and self-care and feel, are you worth the effort? Do you truly love yourself? Do you truly believe that you are worth the self-care, the love of making something that's going to nourish, enrich, and improve your health, and that will form better relationships? It'll give you a happier mind, and you'll feel the strength, and you'll have energy, and you'll have passion in life. That's my message to people. And most people would say, yes, I want that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we're here, right? To live life to the absolute fullest.
Yeah.
Sean, what about yourself? Thank you so much, Penelope.
So I have a saying I say to people that are living today is stop messing with stuff. We're our biology hasn't caught up. We're basically, prehistoric's a big word, but we are old souls, old beings who managed to evolve, and over the last, century or so, as a matter of fact, it's less than that, last 50 years in particular, the world's changed. Our environment has changed dramatically, and as a result, we're living this busy, chaotic world. We're trying to figure out how we can get by, and what we're eating today is nothing that even resembles what we were eating. And now I think for me, let's try and get back to basics. It can sound a little overwhelming to people. Oh my God, I couldn't live like that. And it's if you think about the evolution of nature, it's already beautiful. It's magic. It's all these things are here for us to live and thrive. Those that withered never made it. Our ancestors withered, and they're no longer here. We are here because of our parents and their parents and their parents, and we got here not because of the Industrial Revolution and the food that's now available to us. We're here because nature provided us this magic, beautiful, vibrant, this orchestration of coloured rainbow of fruits and vegetables. So stop messing with stuff. This is the nutrient-dense food that's got all the beautiful antioxidants, the vitamins, the minerals. Everything we need is packed in these beautiful whole foods. So for me, stop messing with it. Enjoy it. Embrace what nature gave to us.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are phenomenal, and I'm sure our audience is really appreciative of you guys coming on the show today. And they're probably wondering as well how the heck they can get in touch with you guys, and if you could also just reiterate your Global Charge programs of where they could sign up for those too, to also learn your cooking and join your groups.
Yeah, well, we're called the www.globalrecharge.guru. We're not .com, we're .guru. And we picked guru because it's actually a Sanskrit word. It means teacher, but it also means going from the dark and into the light. And so we thought that was a perfect name. We love the name Guru. So we're www.globalrecharge.guru. And of course, we will offer for anyone that would like to talk to us and have a virtual coffee and discuss any of their current there could be problems, or they could be that they want to make a change. or they may have made the change and they're not sure if they're doing it correctly, they're more than welcome to contact us, and we'll make a time and we'll give them a free 30-minute consult. So any of the listeners are invited to call us.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. And they can get your number on your website?
They can. And
okay.
We've got some great programs we're about to actually put up online. We've got a new self-care revolution program that we're going to have online, which is a 4-week course. And again, any of the listeners, they will get it at a special price. So we will put it up. All they have to do is contact us by our email, which is admin@globalrecharge.guru, and just say that they heard our talk through your podcast, and we will give them a substantial discount.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Penelope. Thank you so much, Sean. You guys are amazing, and we're so grateful to have you on the show today. Thank you so much to our listeners. We really appreciate you. You guys are amazing, and we really appreciate all of your support. So please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, or podcast, whichever platform is your personal preference. And next week, we'll have another amazing guest on our show as well. So look forward to that next Monday. Thanks so much, guys. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Amber.
Bye.
Anytime.
Thanks, listeners.
Thank you.